In November 2002, the Edmonton studio of the by then already popular and accomplished developer BioWare, known for games such as Neverwinter Nights, Jade Empire and Baldur's Gate, started working on a new IP. This, according to them, spiritual successor to Baldur's Gate and Neverwinter Nights, was planned and developed in their entirely own fantasy setting. The game was officially revealed at E3 2004 under the name of Dragon Age, close to 1.5 years after the start of development. The first draft of the story, written by David Gaider, lead writer for Dragon Age Origins at the time, didn't feature many of the things that are now the defining points of Dragon Age Origins, including Darkspawn and even the Grey Wardens. There were also 12 origin stories as opposed to the 6 we know today. Among them were the story of a human commoner that would have grown up on a farm that was then attacked by the Darkspawn, which did exist by that point. There was also a barbarian origin, in which the player would have experienced the story as an Avar. According to Gaider, it was weird, but kind of interesting. Greg Seshuk, co-founder of BioWare, described the fantasy of Dragon Age as an in-between of The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien and The Song of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin. They wanted a dark, heroic fantasy with gritty choices that wouldn't be clearly labeled as good or bad. So while they do feature the classic fantasy races of dwarves, elves and humans, the treatment of them is unlike many fantasy works. The design philosophy of BioWare was to not shy away from strong topics and give players the freedom to do as they please, even if it meant that the age rating would go up through these choices. Among these topics are things such as slavery and racism, which the player can actively participate in, without being told outright that their choice is right or wrong. They intentionally chose not to add a karma system to the game, like they did with Mass Effect's Paragon and Renegade points, instead letting the only judge be the player themselves. Formally re-revealed as Dragon Age Origins in July 2008, and after much pushing around, the game was finally released on November 3rd, 2009, featuring a world filled to the brim with moral choices, believable characters, and an orchestral soundtrack composed by Einan Zur. The game was overall received with positive reviews, and fans of the Baldur's Gate hailed it as a return to the classical RPG form. The PC version in particular gathered many high ratings, similar to the studio's previous game, Mass Effect. 2 DLCs released alongside the base game: The Stone Prisoner, a short side quest line that adds Shale, the much beloved Golem companion, to your roster of murderous misfits, and Warden's Keep, which tells the story of the last Warden commander before the Order was banished from the kingdom. On the 29th of January, BioWare released another DLC by the name of Return to Ostagar, which, as the name might suggest, allows the player to return to the first battlefield in the Kokari Wilds to tie up some loose ends. In March of 2010, the first and only expansion pack for Origins, going by the name of Awakening, is released. Following that, 4 smaller DLCs would be created by the studio before officially moving on from Dragon Age Origins. The Darkspawn Chronicles in May of 2010, Liliana's Song in July, The Golems of Amgarak in August, and finally, as the last piece of DLC, Witch Hunt in September. Development of Dragon Age 2, originally titled Dragon Age Exodus, began alongside the Awakening expansion. The studio had between 14 and 16 months to finish development from concept to sale, and Mike Laidlaw decided to have Dragon Age 2 draw inspiration from Eternal Darkness. This led to reuse of many locations in the game. This, together with the size reduction of the world itself and the simplification of the combat, didn't lead to many of the hardcore fans being pleased. The game was once again created by David Gaider as the lead writer, and together with 5 other writers they made the narrative for Dragon Age 2. Laidlaw faced the brunt of the fan feedback, from accusations of hating the fans because they took away their beloved successor of Baldur's Gate, to demanding he be fired for ruining Dragon Age. And people wonder why the fuck he left the company. Dragon Age 2 officially launched on the 8th of March in North America, the 10th in Australasia and the 11th in Europe, and as before it received launch DLCs as well. Apart from a couple item packs, the game launched with the Black Emporium DLC, which granted players access to a shady underground store of sorts, also allowing them to change their Hawk's appearance post the initial creation. The Exiled Prince also released on the 8th of March, allowing players to recruit an exiled prince into their ranks, as the name might imply. This time around, instead of choosing from 6 different background stories, the player was presented with the choice of class and gender, but they weren't able to change their race. I'm not sure how this is considered human, but there you go. Voiced by Brian Bloom, the dwarven rogue Varric Tethras tells the story of a Ferelden refugee turned champion by the name of Hawk. Between many item packs, the game got two major add-ons by the name of Legacy, released on the 26th of July, unbeknown at that point, introducing the antagonist of the next game, and Mark of the Assassin, released on the 11th of October, featuring a Qunari spy named Talus, voiced and inspired by the actress Felicia Day. An expansion pack, similar to what Origins received with Awakening, was also planned for Dragon Age 2 by the name of the Exalted March. Sup, Jordan? Development of this expansion was cancelled, however, to allow the team to focus on tweaking the Frostbite engine for the next game. Development of the third game likely began some time before the release of the final DLC for Dragon Age 2, given that they scrapped the planned Exalted March DLC in favor of focusing their efforts on bending the Frostbite engine to their needs, which turned out to be quite a challenge. While it worked well for games such as Battlefield and other first-person shooters, creating an RPG with an engine that didn't even have an inventory system is not something many people would have attempted. Writing was once again led by David Gaider, while Mike Laidlaw took charge as the project's lead director. The most notable change was perhaps in the sound department, as Trevor Morris replaced Einon Zur as composer. BioWare wanted to give the players a new experience, along with the drastically changed gameplay, while also keeping the music familiar to those that enjoyed the previous two. The final release date of November 18th, 2014 was announced, and the game launched on the 18th, 20th and 21st for North America, Australasia and Europe respectively. It gained mostly positive reviews, and fans enjoyed the fresh but familiar experience. Inquisition, as well as its two smaller siblings, also gained a myriad of DLCs, but item packs excluded, it got 3 major content updates. Jaws of Hakon on March the 24th, 2015, adding an entire new zone and sub-story that leads you to solve the mystery of your predecessor, Inquisitor Emeridin. The Descent on August the 11th, sending you down into the deep roads to find the cause of suddenly appearing tremors. But it all ended with the release of the very final update for the game, Trespasser, released on the 8th of September 2015, sending you 2 years into the future after the events of the main game, and concluding the story of your Inquisitor. For now. The next installment was officially teased on the 6th of December 2018, over 3 years after the final update for Inquisition, with a teaser trailer during the Game Awards 2018. Of course, fans knew the 4th game was being worked on long before, as even the devs didn't exactly keep it secret. As of the making of this video, there is no further information on the next game. For now, all we have is the confirmation that it's being developed and a minute-long teaser trailer with Gareth David Lloyd giving us that sexy soulless voice. From the ending of Inquisition, it can be concluded, however, that the next game will take place in Tevinter, taking the player far into the north, into a place that many wanted to see for a long time.